Welcome, everyone, to Not Your Normal Sunday. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I do salute you for being here, seeking after truth. Nice to see each and every one of you here. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you getting up early in the morning. Of course, when you can tell that our good friend Wayne is a little bit under the weather today, so he is not here for the show, but we're going to carry on. We're going to press on, and we're going to do what we can to move on this morning without Wayne. Of course, we want to send him beneficial energies. We want to send him healing energies, and we want him to get well soon, as is our way now. We are triple casting today on Facebook. We're triple casting on Twitter through Periscope, and of course here on our YouTube channel as well. A lot of different moving parts, so you might hear me sounding a little weird today, a little silly, because we got a lot going on, and I have to kind of try to keep it all in one spot. But we're very happy to be here this morning, and again, we hope that Wayne feels better. And I know everybody here loves this channel. Everybody loves this show. So we wanted to make sure that we brought it to you, even though we couldn't have Wayne with us today. And unfortunately, one of the main things that's dominating the news this week, of course, is that whole situation over in Baghdad with the U.S. Embassy. And I know it's a little bit confusing because it's the embassy in Iraq, and we're dealing with Iran. So politics is not the main focus of this channel, but we do try to bring you information that relates to politics when it's information that can be helpful to us. And speaking of being helpful to us, the first segment of our show today is brought to you by C60 Purple Power. Has the fountain of youth been found? I don't know, but I've been taking it for a couple months. It's turning my hair brown. I no longer need my reading glasses to read. Very, very healthy. A lot of elimination of toxins, and even better libido. So it's a great product. It's the best antioxidant out there. It does amazing things for you. There's only 3 places that sell real C60, and you can go to c60purplepower.com, use the code TCW10, and you'll get 10% off. And this is the real deal. And also the esoteric benefits of it are remarkable. So folks, you may remember a few years ago, the last time, I believe, that a U.S. embassy was attacked. The last time that a U.S. embassy was attacked, we had the embassy in Benghazi that was attacked, in Libya. And if you'll remember that what happened then President Barack Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton sat on their hands for a day. And at least 4 Americans died. And if it wasn't for the heroic actions of a group of American fighters that got abandoned there, it would have been even worse. So that's the last example of what we had happen and how it was handled. And President Donald Trump is taking a lot of gruff. President Donald Trump is taking a lot of flack for his handling of the Baghdad situation. But can we look at just a moment? Would you prefer to have a president that sits around for 20 hours and watches Americans die? Or would you prefer to have a president that takes powerful action? And let me check how many American lives were lost. Check looking, 0 American lives are lost. And what can't be lost is the fact that it's in Baghdad. That's Iraq. And the Iranians are moving in to try to take advantage of a destabilized situation in Iraq, which again was caused by the Bushes, by Obama, and President Trump's in there trying to clean up those guys' mess. And this supreme military commander from Iran comes down from Iraq. Do you think that he was there for vacation? Do you think that he was there for a little sun? No, he was there. You have to ask the question that any normal, rational person asks. Why is the supreme commander of Baghdad, of Iranian forces doing at the Baghdad airport? Do you think he was there to serve tea? Do you think he was there to serve hummus? Do you think he was there to pass out falafel to the troops? No. He was there, and we have intelligence that thousands of more Americans would be killed, and already to add to the hundreds of Americans that this guy has killed. And President Trump took advantage of an opportunity and took this guy out. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. It's a world that we wish we didn't have to live in, but it is the world that we are living in. So did President Trump take out a foreign person? Yes, he did. And as and I'm trying to get the watch the chat is a little bit harder in this new system, but Boru says that Iraq was destabilized by W. That's true. W, his dad, and the Obama administration. So here's Trump trying to clean up what those guys left behind. And Blazing River says, how many lives did Trump save by taking out this murderous general? Absolutely. So the things we've just got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, are it's Iran. Iraq's there destabilizing it, attacking our embassy. And we've sent over 750 more troops. We're sending over 3,500 more. But you've got to remember, this embassy complex is like 10 acres. It's huge. So you could use all of those troops, those 4,000 plus troops, to take care of just the embassy. So it's been a rational, it's been a reasoned response. And for me, I would much rather have a president that sends helicopters, 4,000 troops to protect American lives than a president that sits by and watches on TV with his Secretary of State who wanted to be president and watches Americans die. You choose. It's up to you. I am happy that President Trump took action to save American lives. And I get crap on my YouTube feed. Oh, Jeff, you said that Trump's waging peace. You say he's bringing people home and now he's starting a war. Well, number one, he's not stopping a war. He's stopping the murder of Americans. He's not starting a war. He's defending American lives in the American embassy on foreign soil. So that's not starting a war. He's trying to clean up the war that swamp rats like Daddy Bush, swamp rats like W. Bush, he was just a shrub, not even really worthy to be called a bush, and rats like Obama and Clinton. So that's my take on what's going on. Baghdad is not ideal. We wish it were different, but at least it's not Benghazi, ladies and gentlemen. And I would much prefer the Baghdad version than the Benghazi version. But that's just me. Do what, you have your own opinion. We're just here to share ours and hopefully, if possible, give you maybe a little bit of insight into what is going on and maybe a little rational, level-headed commentary. And I have an idea that if Wayne were here today, he would be telling us and speaking probably much the same thing. It was a very interesting week for us on YouTube. We went a lot of places that we haven't gone before. This was the first week, ladies and gentlemen, of 2020. And I'm going to take a look at some of our podcasts from last week, and we'll open it up for questions and responses to what was said and done last week. We started off on the 30th. Of course, last week started on the 30th. That was right before we had our New Year's time. So this is the first Not Your Normal Sunday of the new year. So we do want to welcome you all here. So let me just get to see where we went last week, and we'll talk about what we talked about last week. We talked about why is Judeo-Christian so Roman. That program talked about, it's funny that you've got Jewish guys going to synagogue, keeping kosher, keeping the holy days, and the new religion they start, allegedly Christianity, has nothing whatsoever to do with Judaism, doesn't look like Judaism, doesn't sound like Judaism, doesn't smell like Judaism, but it sounds exactly like Rome. And that's why we know that it was a Roman religion. That's one of the reasons. I'm proving it to you over and over and continually. And then we had a very interesting show on New Year's Eve that I've taken a lot of flack for, a lot of flack. We talked to David Weiss from Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and he presented some fascinating images, some fascinating footage, and some fascinating theories that big rockets like the NASA rockets, like the SpaceX rockets, are really balloons. Now, I know it sounds silly, and Tracy's right. They do try to sell you that Christianity is rooted in Judaism, but it has nothing to do with Judaism. But I think it sounds so silly. When I first read it, I'm like, come on, man. There's no way those things are balloons. But when you watch that video, and it's called, what's it called? It's called NASA and SpaceX Rockets Balloons. David from DITRH joins Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. So take a look at that video. And, I'm not a guy that has been a flat earth guy. I'm still not a flat earth guy. I'm not a guy that has been anti-NASA, but now I'm looking at NASA and I'm looking at what they do, and I know they lie. And I'm a guy that understands that when people lie, they're always going to lie, at least when they lie to you consistently. Tracy Dyer surprisingly says, totally balloons. Space is water, says Jeff. I'm glad you're seeing through NASA. I know you used to believe them. You're the best. Harry says, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole was a good wake-up call, but the blue sky industry has been around a long time. So, and Tiffany's still undecided. Sterling says same here. I think he's on the side that they are rockets. But when you watch a space shuttle, it's supposed to be what, 140 or 14 million tons, and it goes up and it bounces. It bounces on the launch pad. It bounces on the launch pad. And if you have ever been in the gym and tried to do a max bench press, and you take it off the rack, you put it down on your chest, and you push it up, once it starts going back down, it's never in the history of gyms ever started going back up again. Because once that weight, and in my case, the highest that I ever benched was 415. Once that 415 starts going this away instead of this away, it's never coming back this away. And I've got to believe that the space shuttle is the same way, ladies and gentlemen. How does a thing that heavy go up and come down, go up and come down and go? I don't know. How do these rockets go up and then start like moving sideways and swaying and stuff like this? If it's a rocket and it sways like this, that thrust pushes that thing right over like that and it crashes. But no, we saw them swaying. We saw the great big huge external tank that's supposed to be how many millions of pounds float instead of fall. And you watch a dude just boop straight down. Am I saying that the space shuttle and the Saturn V rockets and stuff are balloons? No, but I'm saying they look like balloons. They act like balloons. They behave like balloons. We saw the one rocket. It broke. It just fell over. Boop. And it was a balloon. You saw the other rocket explode. Did you see metal and shrapnel? Nope. You saw Plastic everywhere. Lucas says if you drop weights in the ground, they bounce. Well, sometimes, but you've got a completely opposite. You can't use that analogy because it's not accurate. A weight is dropped from above down with no thrust. Now, if that weight was on the ground and you put something underneath it to make it go up and it came back down, then we're talking about the same thing. But dropping a weight and having it bounce is not a accurate analogy, at least in my opinion. So yeah, the rocket went flaccid. And speaking of rockets going flaccid, is there a better segue possible to our new, ladies and gentlemen, our brand new sponsor that I'm really excited about? We're making sex great again. The Rocket. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Rocket logo. There's a pre-sale of the greatest new device to help make sex great again, to make men great again, to make women great again, to make couples great again. It used to cost $500 per session. You need at least 12 at your doctor's office to get this treatment. Now you can get it for yourself in your house for less than the cost of a single treatment. It's going to break up the plaque in your penis. It's going to allow that blood that couldn't get in to get in. It's going to stimulate new capillary growth. So you'll get a longer, they say, stronger and more powerful erection. Why is that important? Because a man that can get an erection feels like a man. A woman whose woman can get an erection, or a woman whose man can get an erection feels like a woman. Our vitality is restored. And when your wand is working in good condition, we can get you manifesting and focusing your intention and using, which is perhaps your greatest creative and godlike force while you're here in this flesh. The Rocket. Making sex great again, making wands great again. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Any second, literally, it could go to 3 times the cost that it is now. But right now, the link still works for the Rocket. And what a great segue. Thank you so much for that, Tracy Dyer. Gotta love Tracy. She comes up with the great segue for me, and we appreciate it very, very much. Yeah, who was it? Kevin said, got to go see that video. Check it out. It is mind-blowing. And then we went from talking about NASA and space rockets to talking about disclosure, everybody's favorite subject, adrenochrome, and what I called the Senunaki, warning you about what I think could be the top psyops of 1020. I don't think it's 2020. I think it's 1020. But we talked about how disclosure is it's really just like the rapture. Disclosure is really like the second coming of baby Jesus. Disclosure creates within us and within our genre this hope, this desire that somebody's coming from somewhere to help us have free energy. Somebody's coming from somewhere to help us solve all our problems. Somebody's coming from somewhere to take us away from here. In my opinion, this idea of disclosure and the aliens are coming to save us is no better than Jesus is coming to save us, because, folks, our ship is not coming in. We've got to swim out to meet it. Nobody's coming to save us. Not Jesus, not alien Jesus, as you see in the upper corner there. Nobody's coming back to save us. We have to save us. We have to save us. And that's what this program is about. Teaching you that you don't have original sin, but you got the spark of divinity within. Teaching you that you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. And teaching you that if it is to be, it's up to me to live divine, to live sovereign, to live free, and to get yourself unindoctrinated and out from under the fear and guilt, blood magic, control matrix. Was it Harry said, grow up and make your own future gods. Grow up and realize you are a god. So we talked about that. And then, of course, I got into another one of the third rails, the Anunnaki. Well, you know, the Babylonian texts say, the Sumerian texts say, the Egyptian texts say, all these texts say So because all the texts say the same thing, there's this idea that they're telling the truth. We are created with manipulated DNA, which makes us less than perfect. It makes us want to be slaves. It makes us good for digging gold and tin. And we have been totally flawed because these aliens created us that way. It sounds exactly like the original sin lie to me. Original sin says you're flawed and broken because something that somebody you didn't even know, never even met, did, allegedly. And now, because you're a sinner, you need salvation, and they've got the only savior in town. Well, if you were created with messed up DNA, created to be a failure, created just to be a worker bee by some great divine being, then you're still busted and can't fix yourself. It's just another twist on the original sin lie. Well, Jeff, all the ancient texts say it happened. Well, guess what? Just because Mother Goose, Aesop, and Grimm all agree, it still can be a fairy tale. And it is. You are not created with flawed DNA. You are not created to fail. You are not created to be a slave, a digger of gold, a digger of tin. You were created to be divine because you've got the spark of divinity within. And I will sit here and defend that and debate that until as long as there's still breath in my body. We also talked about adrenochrome and the whole adrenochrome thing. Yes, adrenochrome's horrible. The idea of harvesting that physically from usually children, a horrible, horrible thing. But it is a psyop that they let out. It's a distraction that they let out to distract us from the more horrible thing of spiritual, energetic extraction of life essence, spiritual adrenochrome, ladies and gentlemen. You realize a body can only take so much, and a body, even in the most horrific circumstances, will adjust and not be as productive as it were. But when you can get to the original, the base spiritual essence of someone, you can tap that forever, or for at least much, much, much longer. I know this because I've been there in the spiritual realm and I've seen it happen. I know this because I've talked to survivors. I know this because I've talked to people that have witnessed the harvesting of spiritual adrenochrome. And plus, it has the advantage of not leaving a paper trail for you to get caught because you're doing it energetically and not physically. Is it still abusive? Yes. Is it still horrible? Absolutely. But they let us know about the adrenochrome part of it to be a distraction, to keep us from knowing about the even more disturbing and distressing spiritual harvesting of adrenochrome. Let's see. Space is water. I'm working on that one. We're still figuring out the New Testament, and then we'll get to the Old Testament. But something that you don't know, and I didn't know, and that I'm shocked by, is that Judaism as we know it today, rabbinical Judaism, there was Babylonian rabbinical Judaism, and there's Jerusalem one. And it started after the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. Obviously, remember, they went from a temple-based worship to a rabbi Talmud-based worship. And what we know generally, and maybe exclusively, but at least generally, what we know of Judaism today is rabbinical Judaism. Post AD 70 rabbinical Judaism. And guess who saved the rabbis to start it? Guess who paid for the places for the rabbis to start it? Guess who gave the rabbis money to keep it going? And guess who has paid and maintained for the perpetuation of it? Rome. Not only did Rome write the New Testament and create Christianity, Rome also created and dictated modern rabbinical Judaism. I'm going to prove it to you. It blows your mind. The proof of Roman creation, manipulation of modern rabbinical Judaism is even stronger, if you can believe it, than the proof for them creating Christianity. Blows your mind. And I haven't been able to connect the final dots yet. But if they created Christianity, if they created Judaism, you know they created Islam. And I've just got to connect the dots. And I know you're going to send me a bunch of emails, but make sure you don't send me anything that has anything to do with Francisco Ribera. That's a lie. That's a psyop, and it's not true. So we've got to get to the real stuff. So see, we've talked about real world stuff on this channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've talked about powerful stuff on this channel. We talked about the core of all modern conspiracies. That is Roman religion and Roman government combined together. And unless you're asleep at the wheel, you've realized that, oh, we still have the same form of Roman government that we had all the way back to AD 70. Oh, we've still got the same forms of Roman religion going all the way back to AD 70. So, like George Norrie asked me the first time I was on Coast to Coast AM, Jeff, why do you think Rome fell? And I paused a minute and said, well, wait a minute, George. Their religion still rules the world. Their politics still rule the world. Their financial system still rules the world. Maybe Rome didn't fall. And George says, oh, maybe they didn't. Something to think about. So that's the core of all conspiracies. And we're really, really good in the conspiracy realm. What does Steve Olson call it? The conspiratorium. We're really, really good there in defining what's wrong with Roman government. And we're really, really good at coming down on Roman government and pointing out the evils of Roman government. But it's like walking in to a room where I'm a dude. So you walk into a room and your wife is in bed with another guy. Well, Jeff, why don't you say if your wife was in bed with another woman? Because that wouldn't be a problem. That'd be a bonus. Anyway. You walk into a room and your wife is in bed with another man. And you get mad at that man and you yell at that man and you scream at that man and you pull out your gun and you shoot that man. You fill that man full of lead because he's been filling your wife full of something else instead. And you're all mad at the man. Oh, that man. But what about your wife that was there doing the same thing? You can't get mad at the man and not get mad at the woman. Or conversely, you can't get mad at the woman and just get mad at the man. It makes as much sense as saying, like we do in the conspiratorium, like we do in the truther movement, like we do in the New Age and all the other silly, stupid names we give ourselves. We're really good at pointing out all the problems of Roman government, but we won't touch Roman religion. You can't subject the Bible to the same level of investigation that we subject the government. That's blasphemous. Oh, really? I think it's just stupid. If you're a great researcher of NSA, CIA, if you're a great researcher of ATF, the FED, then how about using some of your research talents on the BIBLE? What are you afraid of? I think you know intuitively that Roman religion is no better than Roman government, and you're going to see flaws in both. And while you're fully prepared to see and recognize and deal with the flaws in Roman religion, you are so Stockholm syndrome, so spiritual Stockholm syndrome, so hooked on spiritual adrenochrome. I know it was the blood for me. Are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? You're hooked on adrenochrome, spiritual adrenochrome. You're hooked on the blood. Well, Jesus is my Savior. Your Savior died on a cross and bled and died. You're hooked on the blood. Well, Jesus is my Lord. He's your Lord because he died on a cross and bled and died and rose from the dead. You are a blood blood-sucking, blood-thirsting, flesh-eating, blood-drinking, adrenochrome junkie if you're a Christian. There's no way to get around it. Oh, we're a Christian, but we don't talk about the blood. You can't be a Christian without the blood. Check Paul. Check Jesus. When I see the blood, I'll pass over you. Meaning, if they don't see no blood, you're going down. Oh, we don't deal with the sacrifice. You can't have Christianity without the sacrifice. Oh, we don't talk about the blood. You can't have Christianity without the blood. If you call yourself Christian, if you're saved, if you've got a Savior, if you're anything about Jesus, if you're anything about the Father, you're about the blood. You are an adrenochrome junkie. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, but you won't face it. And I'm here to make sure that you at least hear it and have to deal with it. And then we talked about Rome replacing Israel in God's eyes. It's called replacement theology. I didn't know this, but it was Josephus that initiated that. Josephus, he was a commander of the army of Galilee. He got captured in the Roman War. And it was an amazing thing. He got captured, and all of a sudden, he was a prophet. He got a revelation that God told him, the God of the Jews, that God's favor had been transferred from Israel to the Romans. So Josephus told that to Vespasian. Vespasian adopted him, made him the official historian of Rome. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the historian that Christians love to quote, Josephus, a turncoat Jewish historian that proclaimed that Rome had replaced Israel in God's eyes. How do you like that now? You silly, wascally Christians. That's why you won't look at Roman religion. That's why you want to just talk about the government and what's bad here and what's bad there. And you want to talk about tribulations and head chopping and marks of the beast, because you know if it ever gets down to the real nitty gritty, you're in heap big trouble. And I deal in the nitty gritty. That's my business, yo. And I am the Christian whistleblower, and I'm not going anywhere. And you're going to be made to deal with the lies that you tell and the truth that you won't face. And then, folks, we talked to Matt Long of Woketown, talked about the origin of NASA. Boy, that is such an emotional thing for so many people. And how brilliant was it of NASA? Let's say you've got a system that's going to take 100,000 parts. You try to find 100,000 companies, if you can, to work on those 100,000 parts, because you build this emotional bond. I worked for NASA. They can't be liars. My dad, my mom, my sister, my brother, my aunt, my uncle, my in-laws, my outlaws, they worked for NASA. They're good people. So NASA has to be real. They can't be balloons because I worked on the metal one. You know, do you ever think that maybe they do build some metal ones? And then they send up balloons? Could that be true? Yes or no? Yes. If it looks like a balloon, if it acts like a balloon, if it floats like a balloon, I'm not sure what it is, but it ain't what we're being told it is. That much I do know. Very interesting that NASA was birthed out of the operations down there in Antarctica. It's the longest holding treaty that's never been violated in the history of mankind. All of the 12 original signers all have space programs, and I think it's the 60th parallel below that. Individual private travel is unauthorized unless highly supervised. You got to ask why. And of course, Matt Long started talking about how can a spinning ball corkscrewing through space, we can't feel it, it speeds up, it slows down. How in the world? And somebody left a message that said, or a note that said, well, it just speeds up and slows down slightly. Do you understand when you're going that fast, if it's sped up slightly or it's slowed down slightly, speaking of the earth, 70% of this thing is covered by water. Do you understand the tsunamis? Do you understand the tidal waves? Even if it slows down a teeny tiny little bit, those oceans would spill over and wreak havoc, at least on the coast and probably across the whole continents. If the earth, I'm not saying the earth doesn't spin on its axis because I don't know. I'm not saying the earth doesn't go around the sun because I don't know. What I'm saying is it does not go around the sun the way they tell us it goes around the sun. Because if it goes around the sun and it speeds up and slows down, we're all dead a long time ago. It's a lie. It can't be true. So what do I know? Do I know the earth is flat? No, I don't know the earth is flat. But I know it ain't what they're telling me it is. Do I know the space is fake? No, but I know the space ain't what they told me it is. That much I know. Kenny says, how can you jump up and come down in the same spot if it's really spinning that fast? Yeah. Relative speeds are important. Of course they're important. And if you think I'm wrong, fill up your glass of water a little bit more than that one. Fill it up almost to the top. Walk across your living room. Speed up. Walk across your living room at the same speed. No problem. Walk across your living room and speed up. Walk across your living room and slow down. That's a glass of water. That's a glass of water. Folks, I'm not saying the earth is flat. I'm not saying space is fake, but I'm saying what they've told us is not true. And we got to figure out what the truth is because they are lying to us. But you know what? More than anything else, folks, I am a man of peace, a man of love, and a man of harmony. And I want you to get back in harmony with your Mother Earth. Mystech bracelets, which you know I wear, put you back at the original Schumann resonance of the planet. They put your cells in harmony and take your cells out of chaos. You've seen the blood tests that we've got on this channel, and it's made the sales of Mystech explode. We do give you a 20% discount when you go to jeffreydaugherty.com and click on the Mystech logo or the tab. You get a full 20% off. Warning, it's almost Chinese New Year. They shut everything down for about 3 weeks. A lot of the shipping comes through China. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait. Just so you know, got a new email from Halo yesterday regarding that. But folks, we've got to get to the place where we're willing to be big boys and big girls and ask these questions and not just stick our heads in the sand. Oh, Jeff's going flat earth. If Jeff, here's the thing about Jeff. Jeff's always believed that the earth is round, even though he's now looking around and sees nothing but flat. Jeff has always believed that the earth spins on its axis and spins around the sun until Jeff started thinking about it. So Jeff doesn't know who's right or who's wrong. Jeff just knows what he's been told, what he's been sold ain't accurate. And Jeff is looking for answers. And I've had people this week say, oh, I'm unsubscribing from your channel because you have these flat earthers on. Well, you know what? I know I should say, oh, I'm so sorry. We're not going to have flat earthers on anymore. I know I should say it makes you uncomfortable and I'll stop talking about it. But that's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to say I'm here to pursue the truth wherever it leads. I'm going to say I'm here to overturn every single rock and to ask every single question. I'm going to say I'm here to destroy every, or at least question every single dominant paradigm. And if you're uncomfortable with questioning and examining every single dominant paradigm, if you're uncomfortable with asking every single question, and if you're uncomfortable with questioning every single answer, you're not going to like it here, and I'm not going to change. So maybe we've come to a meeting of the roads. Maybe it's time for 2 words from you. Maybe it's time for 2 words from me. Well, bye. Because if you don't want your paradigms challenged, if you don't want your narrow-mindedness expanded, then this ain't a place where you're going to be happy, cousin. Still love you. still like you, disappointed in you, but you're not going to like it here. And we're doing what we do, and we're going to do more of what we do than we've ever done. Hope you don't stay. Hope you don't leave. Hope you hang around, but not going to slow it down, not going to dumb it down. We're not going to teach to the lowest common denominator. We're going to teach to the highest possible level. And if you're on the lowest common denominator kind of person, then you're not going to like it here. It's been nice knowing you. See you, wouldn't want to be you. That sounds so mean, but it's true. If you don't want to expand your mind and think outside the box, if you don't want to hear from people that you might not agree with, this isn't the place for you. And it's not going to be a happy relationship. We hope that you'll decide, well, you know what? Maybe I should grow up and be an adult. Maybe I should act like I say I am. I'm a researcher. I'm a truth seeker. Maybe you should really be one. If you're really a truth seeker, then you're going to love it here. If you're really wanting to find the answers, you're going to love it here. If you're really willing to ask questions, you're going to love it here. If you're really willing to question answers, you're going to love it here. If you don't, you won't. So you might as well just say, Jeff, well, bye. And if you're going to write me emails and write me comments and tell me how dumb I am and how horrible I am, I got 2 words for you, and they don't start with an F and a U. They start and end with a, well, bye. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And if I wasn't such a jerk, I'd have 80,000 instead of 40,000. I know it, but I just don't care. What we're here for is viewers. And our viewers exploded last year. So we're going to do what we've been doing, only we're going to do it more so. So get ready. And then we ended up with 1,000 years added to human history. And I know, Jeff, you're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. Watch the video. And if I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong. They admit that in 1582, you went to bed on October 4th, 1582, and you woke up on October 15th, 1582. And why did they change the calendar? To align with the time it takes the Earth to go around the globe, speeding up and slowing down. So if the speeding up and slowing down is questionable, and it is, then the Earth spinning around the Earth is questionable, and it is. Not saying it's false, saying it's questionable. And the logic that they base the new calendar on, the logic that they've based all history on for 500 years is questionable. And it's my job to ask questions, and it's my job to question answers. If you don't like it, well, bye. It's just the way it is. That's how we do things. I think I showed you great evidence that not only did they go to bed on October 4th and wake up on October 15th, they also woke up with 1,000 years added. It really happened in AD 582. They turned it into 1582. And I got a comment today. That just doesn't make any sense. Too many things happened. And those 1,000 years for them not to have been true. Were you there? Did you see those things happen? Do you even know those things happened? And could they have happened without that 1,000 years? Because it's really funny that the Roman New Testament says Rome's going to reign for 1,000 years, and they just happen to add 1,000 years to history. And oh yeah, it was the Pope that did it, Pope Gregory the 8th or the 3rd, can't remember which one. And they also did it to make the date of Easter what they thought it was originally. So the whole history and the whole calendar was changed because Roman religion wanted to change it. And most of you never say boo. Most of you never ask a question. Most of you never question an answer. I think that is sad. I was going to say pathetic, but I went with sad. And we finished up last night asking, is the Mandela effect an excuse for the weak-minded? I show people a new truth. That's a Mandela effect. Bible didn't used to say that. That's one approach you can take. But if you are going to meet new truth, if you're going to meet new revelation with it's a Mandela effect, then you're a special kind of special, and you're going nowhere except back around one more time. You can do it, but I'm warning you and I'm promising you, what did Trump say? It's a threat, and this is a threat. You're coming back again if you want to put everything off on the Mandela effect. Is the Mandela effect true? Yes. Are there real Mandela effects? Yes. But to use this as an excuse to reject new truth that comes your way, to use it as an excuse to keep your head buried in the sand and not willing to look at anything new, that's on you. And it's very, very sad. Very, very disappointing. And you just can't live a life that you call truthful, honest, and you certainly can't be an investigative type person that is seeking after truth and have that kind of an attitude. It just doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't work that way. And I don't know what else to tell you. You need to clean up your act. You need to get your head right. And I am trying to help you clean up your act in that regard. And I'm also trying to help you clean up your act just in the real world, because we've got our friends at Hero Soap, and they're doing something great right now. They'll help you clean up your act. Let freedom clean. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on the flag logo. Right now, you get 20% off any and all of your soap subscriptions, which is great. It's organic soap. It's made by veterans. They're working with veterans. They're helping veterans. And here's what they're doing now. When you subscribe and get a new soap subscription, 20% off you. That's great. But even better, a deployed U.S. troop, a deployed U.S. serviceman or servicewoman gets free soap and toiletries. It's a matching offer. It's a win-win-win. You get great soap. The troops get some great soap for free, and we all win when those type of great things happen. So let freedom clean. Go to www.jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on the flag logo. You save 20%, and there's free soap for the troops. Unless you're like Obama and Hillary and you don't give a damn about them, then don't worry about it. Be selfish. I'm being a little bit facetious there, but you know what I mean. It was a nice opportunity to kind of go back, a call back to kind of where we started and put this a little bit in perspective. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read the comments as well here, but Cynthia L loves that promotion. And did you see the filthy things that Cynthia wrote on the chat yesterday? I'm trying to keep control of her, but every now and then she just goes crazy and writes stuff. I'm kidding. Her computer was open and I started writing sexy things about me and her name, which, by the way, were true. But Cynthia did not write them. Let's see. Somebody, I don't know what you're talking about there, but somebody said, anyway, forget about it. Oh, I can actually show these. Oh, dude, we're going to take this to some new technology, ladies and gentlemen. How about this? Watch this. Dusty Road says, laugh out loud. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show. That's the one I wanted. That's not the one I wanted to show. The technology sounds really good. No evidence for Atlantis except pieces. Geologists play with it, not archaeologists. That's kind of interesting. Oh, listen and watch this. This shows that we got dummies here. The troops don't give a damn about all the innocents they go off to kill. Listen, Angela Tate. The troops are going off to defend our embassy against the people that are trying to kill us. And I don't give a damn what you think, Angela Tate. How do you like that? Let's see what else we got here. What else we got here? I had some good stuff. Here. Most people, says Morgan Snow, are afraid to question because it threatens them and it threatens their paradigm. Absolutely, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Carpenter, stand on the tallest spot. Can you see China? Nope. It's round, kids. Wait a second, Rob. If you stand on the ocean shore, and again, I'm not a flat earther, but we have to be honest. Stand on the shore of the ocean. I grew up on the shore of the ocean. Watch the ship sail away. Rob will tell me, oh, it's gone over the curve of the earth. You can't see it anymore. But if I pull out my Nikon P1000 and hand it to Rob and show him how to use it, guess what? I can zoom the ship back in again. Now, it'll eventually get so far out there that atmospheric conditions and limits of the lens and the eye prevent it from being able to be seen. But, Rob Carpenter, if you stood on the tallest spot in America and had a powerful enough telescope, you could see China. That's what objective empirical evidence tells me. From what I've experienced and what I've seen, tells me that if I had a strong enough telescope, I could see it. Go to the beach, do what I just said, and you'll see that your logic is flawed. Maybe I'm wrong and I couldn't see it with a strong enough telescope, but the evidence that I've seen and done for my damn self, spent the money to buy the camera, that evidence shows me that I can reel back in things that Rob says went over the curve of the earth. It's a limit of technology and the availability of technology. Thanks for commenting, Rob. And I appreciate you appreciate you doing that. Look at that. You even get to see pictures here. Cynthia L. Look at that. Hubba hubba ding ding. Cynthia L. She loves that promotion. And so do I, ladies and gentlemen. So do I. This is an interesting question. Do you plan your plugs or you just go with the flow? I plan who I'm going to plug, but usually it just goes with the flow. When something comes up, like Tracy starts talking about rockets going limp, that's a perfect time to talk about the rocket, right? So we yes and no in both. We plan the plugs and we just go with the flow. Blue Bottle Bunny Farm, he's sick this morning. He's got a bad throat. So that's where Wayne is today. This is an interesting point. They've revised history from the Reagan presidency. You think the revision of history is new? No. Anything is possible. Harry Christie says they want us to apply the Mandela effect on too much to water it down. Who cares about cartoons and cereal? That's a really, really interesting comment, and I appreciate you bringing that up. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's see. I'm looking for some good stuff here. I think this is probably true. Cautious observer says the Mandela effect is a glitch in the matrix. Could very well be. Could very well be. Let's see. What is this one? That sounded interesting. They go by so fast, sometimes I can't get to them all. Let's see. And this is an interesting comment. A second star to the right says they keep changing everything to fit the agenda. Yes, they do. Twisted Isby says that they think we're living in a simulation, that there's fractals all around us. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. And yeah, I would say so. Let's see. This is kind of a yes and no thing. Mark B. Jews changed Easter from March to April. I hate to tell you, but Jews don't celebrate Easter. So the Jews didn't have anything to do with Easter. That was done by Roman/Christian entities. So we can't blame the Jews for Easter. I mean, that's one thing that for sure you can't blame the Jews about, and that's Easter. I like Harry Christie. I think he might be quoting me. He says, "TikTok, the clock is running out on them." This is certainly true. Good News says church historians are shady characters. Good question. There's the oracle. She says, we can't verify history. I thought it would add a question mark at the end of it, but it's true. We cannot verify history. And Shane feels my pain. Instead of not watching one interview, they choose to unsub because they feel threatened. They feel threatened. And what's a day without a picture of Delaney with, what the hell you got there, girl? A gavel and what is that other thing? But leap years are a trip to Delaney. Wow. Wow. Interesting, folks. Let's see. What else we got here? Sorry. If they add 10, here we go. If they add 10 days and don't blink, why not 1,000 years in just a minute? It's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with that. It really is. Mark B wants to hear more about the adrenochrome. Well, go back to that video. The video was called, what was the video called? The video was called, and it was just last week, so you don't have to go really far back. The video was called, what was it called? It was called Disclosure Achrome and Senunaki, the top 20 psyops. So go check that out, and you can hear more about the adrenochrome right now. KTM with one I don't really understand, but interesting. She says the calendar right now at 2020 is the same as the 1992 calendar. I don't know what that really means, but that's that's an interesting comment. That's an interesting comment. Perry Curtis says that they like to think outside the box, and if you don't, you're never going to learn unless you do this. And I appreciate that, and I think it's absolutely 100% true. And Miss Space Cake says there's always room for improvement for those that eventually get it, and I agree 100% with that. There's always room for improvement, and we're not going to get it. And here's the motto: question everything. Or as I like to say, ask questions, question answers. Thank you very much, KTMA. You can't hear that too much. And look at Tracy bringing down the reality. This is not a safe place for your cognitive dissonance. And of course, I got to throw another Delaney up there. There's no room for sheeple here. There really isn't. I don't know if this is true or not. Your channel is the only channel that covers it all. I am the best in the world at what I do, and I'm the only one in the world that does what I do. So in a sense, space is water is correct. This is the only channel that's willing to cover both Roman religion and Roman government and expose, to shine the light into the dark corners of orthodoxy wherever it is. If your orthodoxy is religious orthodoxy, we're going to shine a light into all its dark corners. If your orthodoxy is scientific orthodoxy, we're going to shine a light in all those dark corners. We're shining lights in all of the dark corners. And see how I said light, it's shining. So that makes me think about, with light and shining, that makes me think about having high consciousness on demand. And that makes me think about our good friends at Focused Life Force Energy, because you can really have high consciousness on demand. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the fluffy logo. You get 30 days free, split between your home and your cell phone, and they will literally send you a high consciousness field when you demand it by signing up for a free trial. And you don't even have to give a credit card number. And it literally beams a high consciousness field into your location. Do you think you'd be better off or worse off if you were existing in a high consciousness environment? Would you be better off or worse off if you're existing and living in a more nurturing environment? And would there be a bleed over if you've got it on your cell phone and you're walking around wherever you walk, it affects 60 feet in all directions? Do you think you might be able to give some hope, some help, and some harmony to the people around you? It's not just service to self, it's also service to others. Focused life force energy. And with the soap, I forgot, you got to use Whistleblower. Use the code Whistleblower. It was on the little thing below. I hope you noticed. Click on that fluffy logo and get 30 days free. Wow. This is really good stuff. Ooh, I like this comment right here. Dusty Road, like the American dream, but not. Knowing enough about a subject to think you're right, but not enough to say you're wrong. So ask questions. That goes along with the adage that a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. And this, I think we might have a little smarty pants here. Thoughts on Yellowstone? That fancy bracelet should have you in tune with Mother, right? Watch out for Earth changes. Well, Jared, I guess that's Ron Paul right there. But Jared, first of all, be a man enough. Maybe your tie is too tight. I know that you're a little sensitive about your receding hairline, but be man enough. If you don't like Mistech, say you don't like Mistech. Don't weasel around. Maybe you need the rocket. I'm just saying it's possible that you need the rocket. The Mistech bracelets put you at the original Schumann resonance of the planet, Jared. I know it's hard to think when you have all of that Rogaine infecting your mental capacities, but that's all right. You'll be okay. My thoughts on Yellowstone. I'm not an expert on Yellowstone. Cynthia watches a lady that's really good about Yellowstone. She'll put her name in the comments. So if you are interested in the Yellowstone, watch that. And Jared, this is just another, your attitude is just another indicator of the OMG, things are bad, they're getting worse, catastrophe. Jared spends his time worrying about his receding hairline and the earth blowing up. I spend my time figuring out how to keep myself divine, sovereign, and free, and to be in a place where it doesn't matter if Yellowstone blows up or doesn't blow up. I'm blowing up. Maybe you'll think twice now when we can out you like this of trolling my chat room. Maybe. Even if some of my beliefs are different than yours, Jeff, I respect it and want to learn as much as I can. You've been a big part of my life the last few years. I appreciate you so much. Oh, this is a good one. It's safe at the back of the pack. Forward thinking is not safe. And we don't want to be safe. We got no interest in safe. There's nothing remarkable within your comfort zone. There's nothing remarkable where it's safe. We're looking for things that are unsafe. Isn't Yellowstone a park? How do I get this thing off the screen now? Hide current comment. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fun ride. We've been here over an hour. Sorry. Didn't mean to keep you over an hour. And I certainly, excuse me, did I cover everybody? I got Freedom Soap, Hero Soap. We got C60. We got Focused Life Force Energy. We got back in harmony with our mother. And we did, as Tracy Dyer led us, we did indeed make sex great again. So I think our work here is done, ladies and gentlemen. We missed Wayne. It's never as great a day as it is when Wayne is here, but we pressed on, and I think we covered some good ground. Joey asked this question: will you do more shows? I'm not trying to expose the flat earth truth. I'm not trying to expose. I may or I may not. As they come up, yes, but we're not going to do it. We're not trying to promote flat earth. We're not trying to promote ball earth. We're trying to promote discussion. My hope, Joey, is that this channel could be a place where people that believe in round earth but are studying, people that believe in flat earth but are studying. My hope is that this channel can be a place where people that have differing opinions on different subjects can find a forum of discussion. And it's not flat tards and globe heads, but it's like, I know it looks like when observable that the earth is flat, but what about all the math? They say that it's a sphere. I want discussions like that around here if we possibly can. And Cynthia says that YouTube lady is Mary Greeley. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a good time. We've had an interesting time. I think it's been a powerful, powerful time to be here. And it has been, again, not your normal Sunday. What I do is very simple. I'm here to help you unindoctrinate yourself. And that means realizing that you're not filled with original sin, but you've got the spark of divinity within. That means freeing you from the fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix, so you can realize you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. Things are not bad and getting worse. Things are good and getting better. And we here are in the world changing business. And cousins, that business is booming. We're the last generation of real humans. And we will win as soon as we get busy. For Wayne Steiger, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This has been Not Your Normal Sunday. Remember, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. Now go out there and live like it.